Hey you guys, it's Stella, and today I am more than excited to be sharing my confidence video with everyone on my channel. This is my #1 requested question is, Stella, how are you so confident? And I swear I get this daily. I've mentioned it before, how I get this question daily. I've actually had time now to sit and think about it and prepare this video for you on how I'm actually confident. Before we get into my confidence hacks, I do want to thank today's sponsor, which is Calvin Klein. I could not think of a better sponsor for this video to just embrace body positivity, being confident. I am so proud to be a part of the new Confident in My Confidence campaign. I think that just embracing who we are, embracing our bodies, embracing ourselves, just being noticed, recognized, and valued, I think is so important, and so much of that has to deal with how I am so confident. To pair up with a company that values not just me for myself, but sees me equally as every other person that they work with. And to me, that is so important. For me, having the chance to dance around in my Calvins like you see here, and to have fun, and to be free, and to do things that maybe I never thought I could do for myself is just an amazing level up in not only my life, but hopefully yours too. I did put a really cool picture on Instagram in my Calvin Klein's, and I'm urging you all to go check it out, and not only check it out, but recreate it. This is our time to just love ourselves and be so confident in ourselves. And I would really love it if you guys could join the Confident in My Calvin's campaign and really just experience it. Yes, the pieces are great. That's why Calvin Klein is so timeless. But apart from it being comfortable, the message that it sends, that I am confident in my body, is just so important and so trivial for right now and where we are. So I strongly encourage you to at least check the post out, join the Confident in My Calvin's campaign, because what I felt the day of this shoot was something that I've never been able to feel for myself in my confidence journey. So it was amazing. Thank you again, Calvin Klein, for sponsoring this video. I think, again, it's the perfect integration between Calvin Klein and this video I have for you today, because I have never felt as free as I do right now, especially after that shoot, because I was just free, and it was amazing. This dress can be found at calvinklein.com, as well as the other underwear and everything that you've seen today, especially that sweater. That sweater is actually so soft. So please make sure to go check them out. Please make sure to check out the links down below, and definitely my post on Instagram, because that means the world to me, and I'd really love for you to be a part of that little chapter of my life like you have been in this YouTube chapter. Continue to support, and I can't wait to support your post for Confident in My Calvins, because it's just our time, and I've been saying this and I'm feeling it, and the energy is so good, and I'm just really excited to move forward. So without further ado, let's get into the video. #8 I'm starting with because you can't move forward unless you get this one first, and it's learning to love yourself first. As confident as you're ever going to want to be, it will not be possible unless you learn to love who you are now first. And I know that a lot of people struggle with loving themselves. It's usually a two-part question I get. Stella, how are you so confident, and how do you love yourself? So I do understand that that takes time, but I really feel the confidence part. The confidence comes after the self-love. And once you're able to love yourself first, I feel like you're going to be fully able to move on to building self-confidence. But you have to appreciate the foundation. The foundation is you. You are the foundation of your life. And you have to be able to appreciate the foundation before you can build the house. And the house of confidence can be built on the foundation of love, for self-love. And ways to do that, well, we're going to talk about in this video, and that's kind of why I wanted to start with this for #8, so you can start thinking about that. Ways I personally, obviously you guys want to know how I did it, ways I learned to actually love myself, as I mentioned this briefly before, is I really started to date myself. And I started to figure out who I am as a person, instead of like this recreation of myself that I thought I wanted to be. Basically, the person I made up in my head about who I was not really who I was. And facing myself and becoming comfortable with who I really am was the foundation of me learning to love my actual self. Because there's always going to be things you want to change. There's always going to be ideas in your head about who you should be, but in reality, you're you. So take that, learn to love that part of yourself, learn to love those parts of yourself. That will make the confidence and everything that follows so much easier. But you have to start with the foundation before you can build the house. You have to start with facing yourself. And I think that's a really big thing. Is like, I used to look in the mirror a lot. I know we're going to touch on this later in the video, but I did used to look in the mirror a lot and be like, I appreciate you. I love you. And the first couple times I did that was really hard to look myself in the mirror and just face myself, which takes us to number 7, smile at yourself more. This one, when I started implementing, was the pivotal moment of me actually learning to love myself. I made a rule, smiling at myself every single time I looked in the mirror. It was so impactful because one, I didn't realize how much I looked in the mirror. I know. Secondly, it made me be so intentional about being kind to myself and loving myself in a new way that I haven't before. And a simple smile at yourself. I mean, washing your hands in the sink, smiling at yourself. Just showing yourself you don't have to just pass by me in the mirror. I didn't realize I had this problem with my body confidence until I started doing the whole smiling thing. I used to just pass myself in the mirror and I would never like embrace me. I would always just kind of be like, okay, like, so say you guys are in the mirror, right? I'd be like, wash your hands, okay, moving on. But like taking time to appreciate yourself, and not in an ego way, but just at the basis level of, I appreciate you for being you. Smiling at myself was probably the pivotal moment of everything for me, because every time I look in the mirror now I go, from that it grew to like giving myself little pep talks, like, you know what, you got this. Today's gonna be a good day. You're killing it. You know, today's really hard, but today's not over. You can turn this day around. And that smile turned into like encouragement for myself. I started giving myself little bullet points of the day and little motivational speeches and little tidbits. And I know it's crazy to some people to talk to yourself, but I fully believe that's part of loving yourself. It's just communicating with yourself and being okay with yourself. Facing yourself in the mirror to me is just so real. Like, you can't get any realer than looking at yourself in the mirror, because you're looking at you. So definitely that is number 7. Number 6 is stand taller, and this one was really important for me in public. So we talked about all the stuff I would do at home, but going in public and trying to be confident is completely different. This is where the real work comes in, because now you have outside influences influencing how you treat yourself, how you're going to feel about yourself, and people having things to say about you. So one thing that was really cool to me is I just started standing taller. I've noticed that if I walked by someone who I felt intimidated by, or who I felt was judging me, or who was staring at me awkwardly, or even though they may not even think anything about my weight or how I look, I was so insecure, I felt judged, even though the person could have been thinking about pizza, like legit. So what I started doing was standing taller. And so what I would do is, like, say I was in Whole Foods, right? And instead of cowering away from people I thought were judging me or whatever, I just stood taller. And that built confidence, because it was like, with every person I just stood tall against and didn't, you know, like shy away or look somewhere else or whatever, it was like a point added to my confidence meter. And then this turned into smiling back. So anyone who was judging me, anyone who was staring at me, anyone who was looking in my way in a way that wasn't friendly, smiling back became my biggest power tool within myself, because it showed kindness, and it showed that I see you looking at me, but I'm gonna smile back at you to give you the kindness that you probably need in your heart. And who's to say if they were judging me or not, right? But if that's my insecurity, that was my insecurity, was that they were maybe judging me. Maybe that'll spark something in them to just not stare at people or whatever they were doing, judging me. I don't know what they were doing, but it was just like a positive reaction that you can have. And I promise you, when you're out in public, literally just, if you're not at smiling back at people, sure, but standing tall and continuing to do what you're doing without regards to people is the biggest piece of advice I can give. And to be really, really honest with you, ever since I learned this piece of advice, this has become so much easier. People are so wrapped up in their own lives, they really don't care what you're doing. So I thought about that, and I'm like, that's so true. People really don't care about you, because so many people are just wrapped up in whatever they have going on. Just stand tall. And you know what? Half the time it's not even as bad as you think. Point number 5 is trying on different clothes. This one for me was very important, because I used to dress in all black, which is ironic because I know I'm wearing black now. I try not to wear black at all now, but this piece is really nice. But I used to only wear black, and I would wear black leggings and maybe a neon shirt, but like it was always black leggings. So when I first got on YouTube, that was my first time ever expressing myself with different fashion. When I would work with different fashion brands and wear different clothes I've never worn before. No one could understand why that was so important to me. No one could understand why I thought I looked good in these clothes. It's because I felt free. I felt like I could wear whatever I want, because the truth is you can. There are so many rules to fashion and how you express yourself, and limits and blah, blah, blah. Who cares why? Like, no one should have impact on what you do with your life. It's your life. And so in saying that, when I was able to try different clothes on and express myself in ways that I didn't even know were options to me. You become freer every time you do it. I've been doing YouTube now for 2 years, and seriously, I'm like freer every single time I do it. And on top of that, it's not like there's a limit to how free you get, because you think I'm never going to be as free as I am right now. But then Calvin Klein knocks on your door and you get a new pair of Calvin Klein underwear and you walk up another level. So what I'm saying is, like, this is like an ongoing journey. And so the more self-love and power you feel, it only grows and grows and grows, because you really learn to realize there are no limits. And I think it really started for me when I started wearing clothes that I didn't even know, one, existed, because I didn't really shop a lot. There was not a lot to shop for me. And two, that I could wear because I wasn't wearing any of them. Definitely just try something new you haven't worn before. Maybe a nice dress, maybe a pair of shoes you wouldn't wear, a new jacket, a new type of shirt, a new brand. Just try one thing that's new and keep doing that until you just reach a point where you don't care what you wear. Because I know so many people, you struggle with wearing specific things because you're comfortable, but it's definitely time to break that mold. It's 2020 almost. It's time to be free. So this next one may be a little touchy for people, but this is definitely when you're further along in your confidence journey, and that is surrounding yourself with positive people. A lot of times we have people in our life that don't always want the best for us, whether it's family or friends. We don't really notice it until it's a little too late almost. So as I grew in my confidence, and you know, like I said, this was not an overnight process. As I grew into the woman I am, and my confidence and my self-love, I started noticing the people around me who were kind of like being haters to it, I guess, and they kind of wanted me to still feel some way about myself, and they didn't really want me to succeed. They didn't really want me to be happy. They didn't really want me to feel like I was beautiful. Here's how I dealt with it. So like the people I really cared about, so like say family members, I had to have conversations with and, you know, break those walls down of, guys, look, I know you don't understand why I'm being bold or why I feel so confident or why I'm starting to feel this new energy. Here's why. And you know, I thought that was going to be a lot of the ends of relationships with family, but it really just made us stronger in the end of the day. In the end of the day, all the people that I had that conversation with that were family members, they really eventually came around to the idea, and they really eventually really understood, not just like fake understand, like, okay, yeah, but no, like actually understood where I was coming from and why I wanted to love myself, because to them it was still, well, just lose weight, you'll be happy, or, oh, just, you know, you're still pretty, at least you have that. Like, no, like, I don't need to lose weight to be pretty, and I don't need to change myself to be happy. I'm happy now. And for so many of my family members, they just couldn't really get that until they did one day. And I thank God every day that they did, because I didn't have to lose any family members over that. And I was able to not only be happy and keep the people that I love, but also they were able to think bigger and expand. And for friends, I've lost maybe only one friend. She was just a secret hater in general. And when I started to just embrace myself around our friend group and embrace myself around her, she got very, very insecure. And I think I was always the safety, because I was always the bigger girl who wasn't confident. And then when I gained confidence, she felt very insecure about it. And then we ended up parting ways as friends. You know, one loss opposed to the many that were secretly feeling some kind of way was a bigger blessing, because I'm able now to have a positive group of friends and positive family members who support me, who support my confidence, who support who I am, and they look past my weight and they just appreciate me. So I think surrounding yourself with positive people is so important, because they're not trying to change you, and they're trying to just love you the way you should be loving yourself all along. This takes us to number 3, which is embracing negative feedback. This one may be more of a Stella one, but this is kind of like my truth. When I started getting negative feedback, especially online, about how I looked, at first it hurt, and I would delete a lot of comments, because obviously I don't want that kind of discussion around me. I'm really positive, and I like to keep things really positive. I started almost becoming a fuel for me. Every time I would get a negative comment, it was almost like, okay, I'm doing something right. I'm disrupting something. I'm breaking a mold. I'm pushing a boundary. I'm breaking barriers. I'm doing this. Once the confidence thing was not about me anymore, and it was about like the community I had built, embracing negative feedback instead of shying away from it or crying about it, I kept unlocking that power for me, because I kept feeling so much power in that of like, I'm making people uncomfortable. I'm making people who don't understand uncomfortable. And in that, people learn, people grow, people see, people feel. And I just like to change conversation. So if what I'm doing, loving myself, literally loving myself, a fundamental birthright, if that is disrupting someone's life and I don't know them, to me that's the ultimate form of you're doing something right. I embrace negative feedback now. I take it, I don't read into it, I don't hate on it, I don't comment back. I've never been a warrior. I've never been the person to be like typing back to a negative comment. I do delete comments that are rude to past a certain extent. I do believe in free speech, so I do let a lot slide, but I do have limits. If I know it's going to harm or affect a follower, I do delete it. But other than that, I embrace it and I welcome it because you're starting a dialogue. And I know there's so many of you guys who watch my videos who do comment back on the not so bad ones. They're just like mildly like, you probably shouldn't have said that. Even what you say back to those people, I know that's starting a dialogue of some kind in their head. And I know as long as they're thinking about these things, the fact that they're even on my video to begin with, like, to me, that's a step forward. And embracing that, I feel, makes it so much easier to move on and get past it because it doesn't need to be a thing. We're just loving ourselves. Which leads us to number 2, find online communities that support you. I am so blessed. I have this community here on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok. I'm glad I have a community that supports me of all shapes, sizes, color, genders, races, creeds. I'm glad I found my home on the internet. An online community who just understands you, your purpose, and supports you, I feel helps this so much. I've said this so many times in my videos. You guys have been able to see things within myself that I haven't been able to see within myself for like months after. Even when I first started getting the confidence comments, I would never understand what you're talking about. Like, what do you mean? Or like certain comments about like, oh, I'm glowing or like something like that. I wouldn't see for myself. And it really is the biggest mirror, a community of people who are there to support you. I've watched so many of you guys grow, especially on Instagram, just people I've followed since, you know, the start of my YouTube channel, or YouTube channels that I do subscribe to from people that were just followers at one point and now we're friends and now we're communicating and, you know, real life friends. It's so important. It's so important. I have a friend, Jaleesa Shive, I'm gonna have to shout her out right now, who just started off as a fan and we kept running into each other in LA and we became friends. And it was so cool to bring like this online concept of an online community of empowerment to real life, because we came from the same online community, we became friends in real life, and now there's like a sisterhood there that is so important, just feeding off of each other, positive, embracing our positive energy, embracing our bodies, embracing who we are. It's just so iconic. It's iconic to the whole system because really that team mentality, that camaraderie between everyone in our community, I feel is so important because it's just going to help you elevate to places you've never seen for yourself. So in saying that, that brings us to number 1. I need you to soak in everything I've said today, but I also want you to know that this is an every single day process. The looking in the mirror, the standing taller, the work it takes to be confident, if you're not already confident, is work. And it's going to be a day-by-day process, but I swear to you and I promise on my life, one day it's just going to be natural, and one day it's just going to be who you are, and one day it's just going to be instinct to be so confident in your body, to be confident within yourself. So I don't want you to fear, I don't want you to be like, oh man, I've been doing this a week, where's my confidence? It's going to take work, but I promise you you're going to get there. And you know what, it may take a community, it may be you starting a YouTube channel, maybe you starting an Instagram page and finding your voice to find your voice. And maybe you do need to go on the journey too of finding out more about yourself and loving yourself and getting that team together. Maybe one of these points is more important than the other for you. Maybe instead of a community, you need your family around you. Maybe you need those friends who are going to support you in your journey to just love yourself. So I feel like out of everything I said today, soak it in. But please remember, it's going to be a day-by-day process. I remember the days where this was so day-by-day for me. And now it's so natural to me. I'm just so confident. But I don't want you to think I don't have bad days. There are some days that are bad, but I quickly, and this happened over time too, I can quickly remember who I am now. And I can quickly kind of get back on track. And I can quickly be like, you know what? I don't want that thought. That thought is not welcome in my mind. I don't want to think things like that about myself because I love myself this much opposed to not liking myself that little bit. Those are my top 8 body confidence life hacks. If there's anything that you still have a question about, if you feel like I didn't answer it all the way, or you kind of just want to know more about, please leave them down below and I will respond to them in the comments, because these are truly my top 8 things that have gotten to me where I am right now in my journey. But I'm more than happy to answer any more questions that you have. Again, thank you to Calvin Klein for sponsoring this video. Everything you saw here today, go ahead and check it out at calvinklein.com and just be #confident in my Calvins, because we're here. It's a moment of just embracing. I don't know if you guys feel that energy, but there's just this energy of embracing exactly who you are. I will see you guys very, very soon. As always, love, Stella. Toodles.